I'm always glad to hear what you have to say. So everybody give a good round of applause for Mr. Uncle Rocky, ladies and gentlemen.
Calls me Mr. Uncle Rocky. All of a sudden, I'm a hairdresser. So this World Cup has been pretty interesting. I see Iran is playing. Do you know they've already put in an order to Trump to get a Buc-ee's in Tehran by Christmas time? So have you guys been seeing any of these reels of this guy, Freddie from Germany? He's going to all these restaurants, right? So the Scots have this Tartan army, and they're in Boston right now. But, you know, the guys, they went out to eat, and there's some guys down south, and they're traveling, the Scots. And you see the Scottish guy sitting there with like a mound of brisket and a mound of fries. And all he could get out of his mouth is, this fucking brisket is great. I can't wait to have more of it. You know, and then there were some Italian guys that showed up, even though Italy's not in the World Cup because they suck. But so these Italian guys show up and, you know, they're traveling in the Midwest and they say, where can we go for Italian food? So somebody directs them to a restaurant. Unfortunately, it was Olive Garden. And all you could hear from the Italian guys is, I don't know why they're sending me to Olive Garden. This stuff is a shit. It's a hate crime. I cannot take it. And then the Japanese people show up with their own garbage bags, right? The guy is being interviewed and he says, oh, I can't speak English, but I clean the stadium. So, you know, I grew up in the, there's one other thing I want to mention. Do you know the difference between St. Paddy's Day and Juneteenth? Everybody wants to be Irish on St. Paddy's Day. You know, when I grew up in the 70s, there were no cell phones, so there were no pictures, no documentation, and therefore no indictments. I mean, literally everything we did could have ended up in an indictment. And, you know, growing up now, kids are allergic to fucking everything. They're allergic to peanuts. They're allergic to gluten. They got ADHD. You got a whole generation of kids now that could be taken out by a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know, when I was a kid, you know, we would go out, you know, we're in our early 20s, guys would go out. We'd go to strip clubs, we'd drink scotch, we'd smoke cigars. It was a very different time. Now guys go to kava bars, they smoke blueberry vapes, they drink kombucha, and they actually roll joints with filters on them. I've never had a joint with a filter on it in my life. The funny thing is they sit around and they talk about their feelings. We didn't have feelings. We had cocaine and Quaaludes. And whatever happened to pubic hair? There's no more pubic hair. The shag is gone. Everything is hardwood. In Florida, it might be like that high-cost linoleum that they put down. But anyway, you know, pubic hair is gone, and I miss it. I remember as a kid, you had to be very intrepid to muff dive. And there was a special technique that one had to use. Let me demonstrate. You wanted to blow those loose hairs out of the way so you wouldn't choke. But that was pre-menopause. Now, post-menopause, you do the same thing, but it's to get the dust out. It's sort of like a 1980s Nintendo cartridge. You know, we went through menopause for a very, very long time. I like to call it the thermostat wars. My wife went through menopause for like 30 years. It was awful. You know, I'm in bed one night and I hear bzzz. Get a little excited. I hear it a little faster, a little bit louder. Bzzz. I roll over all excited. I'm all ready to go. And she's just got the little fan from her nightstand, trying to cool herself down. I had a very different buzzing in mind. You know, when for Italian women, menopause is a very tricky time in their life. It's basically Mother Nature saying to an Italian woman, you're going to deal with facial hair for the remainder of your days. In fact, my grandmother at age 70 had such a luxurious beard, she was asked to front for a ZZ Top cover band. All right, that's my time. Give you back to Levi. Thank you, Eds, for having us.
Give it long, brother Rocky.
Yeah.